Hi, is this Christina Lindley?
This is she.
Hi, Christina. Welcome to the 22Q Ironman podcast. You are on in the 44th hour of our broadcast, so I apologize if we're fading. But you're on live with me, Johnny Sepp. My co-host Brandon Gerson will be with us in a moment, and we're really excited to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's our pleasure, really. By far, when we started doing this podcast, the guest list that we have is gigantic. We had Daniel Negreanu was on earlier, Norman Chad, Greg Raymer, Chris Moneymaker, just a who's list, and it's not even close how many responses we got from people who were huge fans of yours compared to anybody else. It's like, it was insane.
Oh, wow, that's really sweet.
So I appreciate you spending some time with us. And we got some good questions for you, and we're hoping you'll open up with us and answer some questions from us, as well as we have an interactive chat that goes with the show, and some of our fans will be writing in questions if you don't mind answering them.
Yeah, not at all.
First, why don't you tell us how you got your start in poker? I know you've had a very diverse career that includes modeling, acting, personal training, dancing, and now you're in poker. Can you just kind of give us the Christina Lindley story?
Sure. I grew up in the South. I was born in Atlanta, Georgia, and then in high school my dad moved our family to Nashville, Tennessee, where I finished out school and then went to college. And I used to do modeling in mainstream like fashion in my early teens, and then that transitioned into being pretty into working out, which led to fitness modeling. And from there, I started getting work in LA when I was living in Tennessee, like multiple times a month. So eventually I just decided to pack up all my stuff and my English Bulldog and drive across the country and move to LA. So from there I started getting into film and television. The dancing element of it was just being on a show called Wild and Out on MTV. I was one of the Wild and Out girls, which essentially was participating in the sketch improv comedy shows that they did, and dancing on stage with all the guest rappers that they would have, which was pretty fun. I was kind of the token white girl on the show. And during a writer's strike, I went home to visit my dad in Tunica, and he took me to a casino, and I fell madly in love with poker, and that was about it.
Wow, just one of those things. It wasn't because poker was popular. You just went to a casino and you fell in love with it. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I had never really played poker before. I had no idea what beat what or anything about it until I went home during the writer's strike, and there were no women in the casino, and all the guys were so happy to have me at the table, and it just seemed like a no-brainer, you know. So
now that actually brings up a good point. Being and you know, with completely due respect, you are a very attractive female, and do you find that to be an insane advantage at the poker table?
It's funny, when I first was playing recreationally as a quote-unquote celebrity in like celebrity charity tournaments, I found it to be a huge advantage because as I was learning, people were super nice to me and always wanting me to play in the game and understanding if I didn't know what was wrong and kind of like, oh, isn't that cute? She's playing poker, you know. As I started to take it more seriously and it became my passion and something that I decided that I was going to do above all else for a living, and I left LA and moved to Vegas to pursue it full time, it actually became a little bit more of a detriment, just in the fact that obviously coming from fitness modeling and acting background, people aren't going to take you seriously as a poker player, especially because a lot of pretty girls get into poker just because it is popular and because they want to kind of sponge off of the poker community in that sense to help build their own brand. So I kind of had to prove myself in a lot of regards because of the way that I look and because of my background. So, you know, but then at the same time, people still who don't know who I am at the table will assume that I'm an idiot and I can play up to that and take advantage of it. So it's kind of been helpful and detrimental at the same time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes complete sense. It's an interesting topic to delve into because I'm always curious your perspective from that position. How if you like it or if you dislike it. It looks like you have a little bit of both. So
yeah, I mean I don't know. It's just I think the secret to any perspective in poker at a table is just being aware of how the other players at the table perceive you, and then playing up to that or playing against type. So if you can be aware of how you're perceived, then I think that it's a huge advantage, regardless of how it is that you're perceived.
Now, I would assume one of two things happens a lot at the poker table. Either men are extremely intimidated by you and you never get social conversation, or you get hit on a lot. And I'm just wondering which one it is, and if you get hit on a lot, what's the best pickup line you've heard?
I mean, the most aggressive pickup line I've heard wasn't anything someone said. It was actions. I actually had a guy physically take my phone off the table and call himself one time so that he had my phone number. And
ooh, that's creepy. That's really creepy.
A little bit aggressive and a little bit too much. But other than that, people are usually pretty polite. And, I mean, every now and then you'll get a comment here and there, but, you know, it's a matter of just kind of taking everything in stride and, you know, being nice, but not overly nice and not leading people on. But to be fair, I have met a guy that I'm dating now actually at the poker table. So it's not like, you know, it's unheard of for girls to meet guys that they're going to see at the poker table if they're professional poker players. So,
well, in my research, I didn't find a name for a significant other. Is it somebody that we would know?
Yeah, he's a poker pro. He actually just got a lot of coverage in the main event on ESPN recently. He was like chip leader in day one and made it to day 6 and got knocked out like 90th or something. But his name's David Randall.
Oh, okay.
He's more of an online pro.
Yeah,
he's
absolutely.
For Pocket Fives and he's won a couple million online. He's definitely more of an online pro than a live pro, though.
Oh, that's awesome. Anyway, when I was looking through your information when I was preparing for you, you know, we prepare for each guest and I do a little bit of research, I came across the fact that you have been on my favorite show of all time, and I can't quite figure out where. And
what was it, Attack of the Show?
No, it wasn't Attack of the Show.
I'm just messing with you. That's my brother's favorite show.
I have that in my notes, but that's not my favorite show. Were you on an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm?
I was, yeah. It's funny. I actually met one of my best friends. It's a really weird story. I was cast strictly off of. I did a lot of sketch improv comedy with the Groundlings, which is an improv troupe in LA that a lot of this Saturday Night Live alum come from, like Phil Hartman and Lisa Kudrow and some people like that you've heard of. And they direct booked me from my resume and just from my headshot. And it was a really strange spot because usually things like that don't happen. You audition, have a callback and everything. And I showed up, and they had actually booked me and a brunette. They had a blonde and a brunette because they weren't sure which way they wanted to go to play Christian Slater's girlfriend in an episode with where he had an arc on the show for a while. And they ended up, it's a crazy show. They literally have no script. You show up, and they're like, okay, in this scene, this is going to happen, and we want this result, go. So they ended up deciding last minute for him not to have a girlfriend, and they put the brunette in the car with him and then had me do a scene where I ran into Larry David and he was being chased and I got really aggravated with him for hitting me and we got into a fight. So it was just like, it was a really strange experience, but it was really fun and definitely one of my favorite things that I've done in acting.
Yeah, as I look through this stuff, I just can't believe, if you don't mind me asking, and a woman doesn't have to say, but roughly, how old are you?
I'm in my late 20s, roughly.
I cannot believe how much you've accomplished in your late 20s. I feel like I've done nothing with my life after looking over all the stuff that you've done.
You're doing a huge podcast for Terry to give me a break.
This is the first thing. I'm at 1. I'm looking at like Spike TV appearances. You were Snoop Dogg. It's like, geez. Tell me about how was Snoop Dogg? You did something at the video game awards with him?
Yeah, Spike TV has the video game awards every year, and They just had a pretty funny. Again, I did most of the work that I did in Hollywood was something that was a spoof off of either The Way I Look or comedy, and it was called Cheat Code Babes, and they basically just had myself and two other comedic actresses wear bikinis and ramble off, cheat codes, but in an overtly sexual way, as if it was like a porno they were watching. And he was one of the presenters in the award that they were giving away, and Funkmaster Flex too. So that was pretty fun. I obviously love his music. I lived in California for a while, and I'm really into hip hop. So it was really fun. The range of people that I've been able to meet, just in the diversity of the different types of backgrounds that I've had, especially with fitness and entertainment. So it's been really cool.
That's awesome. I don't mean to take up all the time. I do have a co-host on this show. Brandon Drexel-Gerson is on with us as well.
Christina,
Hi.
I'm sorry. Can I have hi? Just a quick moment with my co-host. Johnny, whatever you did before, my computer literally, the battery part of it caught on fire.
I didn't do anything.
Yeah. So actually, I'm in the middle of trying to boot up the other computer. The one computer, it's not good.
Okay.
So I'm calling from my phone right now, and I'm getting the other computer booted up, and the battery exploded.
Wow.
Which I think is probably, I don't think you're supposed to run for this long, these laptops. It's very hot. So anyhow, hi Christina, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you? Sounds like you're dealing with some technical difficulties.
Yes, I apologize for having to do this on a cell phone, but as you know, I'm having technical difficulties. I've been up. What hour are we on right now, Johnny?
We are in hour 44 of 50.
Yeah, and the next 6 hours is going to be a breeze. So, I mean, once you get through the first, I don't know. For me, it was like after 34, it's just like it's just home sailing. But Christina, thank you for being on. I had a ton of notes prepared in this like little Quicken file, but unfortunately the computer blew up. So I'm just going to have to kind of wing a little bit. So I apologize for that.
Yeah, no problem.
I'm not sure what have you guys covered already. Did we cover one of my favorite movies?
We didn't cover one of your favorite movies. We covered my favorite TV show, Curb Your Enthusiasm. We talked a little bit about Snoop Dogg. We talked some poker.
Oh, wait, which episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm? I'm a huge Curb fan.
Well, I was telling him it was on the arc when Christian Slater was on the show for a couple episodes.
What season was it?
It was the second to last season. God, it was like 2 years ago. I'm not sure what season that was.
Okay, I'm trying to. It wasn't when they were in New York, was it? Oh, it was when they were in New York.
Yeah, whatever. I honestly don't know what season it was. I don't. I watch the show sporadically. I'm a huge fan, but I don't watch a lot of television. Ironically,
Absolutely. Where are you based out of? Are you based out of LA or Vegas?
Well, I was in LA until 2 years ago. I moved to Las Vegas for poker full time.
Oh wow! Where do you where do you play when you play in Vegas?
I play online a lot, and I also play at Aria quite a bit, and pretty much anywhere. There's a lot of major tournaments that go on in Vegas, like a different place every month. But I'd say on a daily basis, I'm usually at either Bellagio or Aria.
And are you playing No Limit, I assume? Is that your game of choice? And
yeah, No Limit.
If you don't mind me asking, what stakes do you play?
Well, I specialize in high-stakes tournaments. So, and whenever they have a major tournament in town, that's usually what I'm playing. But if I'm grinding cash, I usually play 2-5 or 5-10. But I'm definitely more of a tournament player than a cash player.
Okay. Awesome. Bear with me. Johnny, talk for 1 second. The other laptop is booted, and then I'm going to stay on the phone and then connect Skype on this other laptop. So just so I'm not.
Christina, we apologize for our ginned up setup here in our 44th hour. We've literally burned this podcast to the ground. Apparently,
we've had quite a list of guests over the last. How many is this? What day? Is this 2 days? Third day?
We're into our third day starts at midnight tonight. Over 2 days, we've had 30 guests so far.
Wow, that's insane. That's a lot of guests.
We've had a who's who of guests.
Right after you, Christina, Jamie Gold is on. Do you have any questions you want to ask us to ask Jamie Gold for you?
I'm actually friends with Jamie. You can tell him I said hi.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
I got a question for you.
The last guest said he knew you. He wasn't sure if you knew him. We just had on David Plastic before you came on. Do you know who that is?
Yeah, I know David. Yeah, the thing about the poker community, it's so small in comparison to a lot of, businesses, and definitely there's a lot of people that I know within the community. So, yeah.
Okay. That's kind of cute if we can have that. We should have started this earlier. Have every caller pass on a message to every guest to the next one. You know what I mean? Like, who's coming on after Christina, Johnny?
I'm sorry, what was that, Brandon?
Who's coming on after Christina? Is it Jamie?
Jamie Gold.
Oh, okay. All right. Do you have anything you would like us to relay to Jamie?
Just hi, I think, probably, to cover it. Hope you're doing well.
I'll be sure to let him know. Brandon, you can go ahead and take care of your issue, and me and Christina will chat a little bit.
Okay, I'm gonna mute the phone because I want to hear all this, but I'm about a minute away from being back online. So go ahead, John.
Christina, as I look through my notes, you were discovered at 14 years old in a mall, right?
Yeah, that sounds really creepy, like an episode of Law & Order SVU, doesn't it?
It kind of does. I wasn't sure what route we were going to go down here, but I was hoping.
It was funny. We lived in Atlanta, and my mom was just taking me back to school shopping, and this pretty creepy-looking guy actually walked up to us and was like, "Oh, I'm a photographer. Have you ever considered modeling?" And my mom was like, "Are you kidding me?" And we got his business card and called an agency that he was affiliated with, and he actually turned out to be legit. And we set up a photo shoot with the agency at the agency. So my mom came with me, and the pictures actually wound up in 17 magazines for the first photo. Their 17 cover model contests. You had to be 14 to enter, and I made like the top 10. So they ran a pictorial actually, which was pretty cool.
Wow, that's awesome. How were you able to balance all that while you were just like 14 years old, going through school, all that stuff?
I was always bored at school. I always did really well. I absorbed things very quickly, and I'm a pretty intelligent person. I was always an advanced AP everything, and I was just one of those things. My mom told me I could only model if I kept my grades up, and it was what I loved to do, so I did. So I just balanced the two. There wasn't a lot of much else, but I definitely loved modeling a lot when I was in my early teens, and that was what I did. Instead of sports, most girls are in cheerleading. I was modeling. So.
Wow, yeah, I can only imagine. You're super productive. That's very admirable. You also do kickboxing too. On top of that, are you a superhero?
Yeah, it's really funny. When I did a lot of fitness modeling, I actually had a lot of guys that were into comic books draw me as a superhero and send me like pictures and send them into different things. That's kind of funny that you say that. But no, I like to be productive. I'm Virgo, and I don't know. I always like to be doing something. So I think it's more my nature than anything. But I don't know. You can tell me what kind of superhero I could be.
I mean, I get a very female Bruce Wayne kind of vibe to where you're a model, an actress, a physical trainer, or a personal trainer, a kickboxer, a poker player, chilling with Snoop Dogg and Big Mama's House and Larry David. I feel like you no doubt have some kind of bat cave.
Yeah, I keep it in Las Vegas, under the desert.
Brandon, are you back with us?
Sorry, say that again?
I was just checking to see if Brandon's back with us. He looks like he's getting back on. Christina, if anybody wants to get in touch with you... Oh, Brandon is back with us.
I'm on. Hi, Christina. I feel like I've missed the whole core part of this. It's kind of sad. I was looking forward to it.
We'll make you feel included.
Yeah.
Christina, the last question I have, and then I'll turn it over to Brandon. Okay. Being out in Hollywood and all that stuff, would you be willing to disclose any Hollywood actors or actresses that have hit on you?
I mean, you can. I'm not going to say like any specific names, but I can confirm that the majority of what you've heard about the way people are in Hollywood, as far as producers and directors, is true. That typically, like any guy you know as an actor hits on like any girl that's attractive in any show they ever do. So I can officially confirm that.
You can confirm the rumors. All right, Brandon. I know that you've had issues, and I know you were really looking forward to Christina. So I'm just going to go ahead and turn the rest of the interview over to you.
Did we talk about Big Mama's House 2 yet?
No, we haven't talked about that.
I love that's one of my favorite movies, trilogies, whatever you want to call it, of all time. Tell us about that.
That was really fun, actually. They ended up booking me on that at the very last minute, and they had me play a Newport Beach mom who was so obsessed with shopping that she basically just left her kid on the side of the road in a stroller when she saw a shiny pair of shoes in the window. So just playing like a stereotypical Newport Beach OC type housewife, which ironically now is a television show.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you have any interaction with Martin Lawrence at all?
I didn't. No, my scene was not with him, unfortunately. I think he's hilarious, and I would have loved to have been in a scene with him, but it was just with myself and a couple other female actresses.
And again, forgive me if any of this has already been covered. I missed the first 20 minutes. I'm also, just by looking at your bio and other things I found on Wikipedia, you also had a role in a movie in 2006. Wow, that's a while ago. You have accomplished a lot more than Johnny has. You and I probably are tied. But, the movie in 2006, The Marine.
Yeah, that's probably what people know me the most from, I would say. That's what I get recognized, I'd say, the most from, definitely.
Wow, and also you've been on Fear Factor, and wow, just pretty amazing accomplishments. You're from Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah, I grew up in Atlanta, and I lived in Nashville for a period of time before moving to California and then Las Vegas. So, Southern girl by upbringing and in my heart, but I love living on the West Coast and the lifestyle and weather out here. So, yeah.
You are 5'9". You have green eyes, and no, I'm just looking at the bio, and you own 3 dogs, including a Great Pyrenees, a Siberian Husky, and a Bulldog. So you're an animal lover.
Yeah, I love animals very much. Unfortunately, with my dogs, I had to leave them back in Tennessee with my family because I travel so much that it just wasn't fair to them. But I love animals very much. That was one of the big things that I was sad about.
I'm gonna say it's a safe bet that since you do play at the Aria, you are an animal lover. You know, a fellow female poker player and friend of mine, Annie LePage.
I do know Annie. Yeah, she's very nice. She's always in all the celebrity charity tournaments.
And I mean, are you familiar with her affection for animals as well?
Yeah, it's great. Jen Harmon also is another female pro who helps out with animals quite a bit. She does a lot of charity tournaments for the ASPCA, and it's really great in poker, especially because you have a platform where you can help different causes that are close to your heart, and that's one that I know Annie and Jen, as well as myself, are big suckers for.
Absolutely. I heard you mention while my computer was on fire and I was on the cell phone that you play online poker even now, and I so obviously you play on one of the sites that are still friendly to Americans. That's correct, obviously?
Right, yeah. There's the Merge Network still has different skins that you can play from the U.S. And then during particular times of the year, like, for example, now WCoop on Poker Stars is going on, I'll go typically for a month at a time, about 4 times a year out of the country, just to different places and share and grind the big series that go on.
Do you just play mainly like on Sundays on the merge networks for their tournaments, or do you also play cash games and as well, or is Sunday like your big day like it used to be for the majority of us on Sundays back on the date?
There's basically throughout the week. Like I'm actually one tabling the 100 rebuy right now while we talk. And they have that every Tuesday and Friday, and then they'll on Sundays they'll have unmerged. They have like 125K guarantee for like 150 frees out. It's not as good as obviously like grinding on Poker Stars or if you're abroad, but
Absolutely.
It's enough that the prize pools are pretty soft, and I love playing online, so I'm always going to do it.
Do you know that we are going to have legal online poker in our state? I'm also obviously in Las Vegas in about a month from now.
Yeah, I do know that. I'm very excited. It'll be really nice to not have to go to Mexico every time I want to play
What do you think, in your opinion? I mean, do you think a lot of people are just going to do the reverse and leave Mexico, leave Toronto, and come back and just whether just buy houses, rent places, whatever, roommate situations, and it's going to be a decent influx of traffic once South Point Poker launches next month?
I mean, I don't think that it's going to be immediate. I think that the people who moved abroad to play are serious online grinders, and a lot of them are my friends, and I don't think they're going to come back just for one site that only operates in Nevada, but I think that once it starts picking up and it's national again, I think that everyone will definitely come back. I think that a lot of pros that have been traveling the live circuit that used to play online might move to Nevada and do it that route, and also play live. I think that's going to be more of the type of players that they're going to get, or just the recreational players or gamblers who just live in Vegas in general.
Yeah, I tend to actually agree with you 100%. I mean, you've acting, modeling, poker. I mean, I know you're still very young. Have you decided what direction you want to go in? I mean, is poker it right now, and that's all you're concentrating on, or are you still pursuing acting? Obviously, everyone knows how hard that is to really just break in. Although you do have like more than your foot in the door. But what do you think you're going to be concentrating on? Like, I guess in the next year or so.
Well, 2 years ago, I was faced with the decision for a really big audition or a live tournament that I really wanted to play in, and I kind of came to the realization that while you could be a jack of all trades, you're really a master of none, and poker is what I'm the most passionate about. And I've done modeling for a really long time, and I was successfully acting in Hollywood. I wouldn't say that I was a big name by any means, but I definitely worked consistently only doing acting for about 5 years. And my passion really is poker. I loved acting for a long time, and I love making people laugh, and I'll always continue to dabble in it in the sense of if I'm approached to do a project, I'm going to. But when I moved to Las Vegas, I decided that I was going to be a full-time professional poker player. And since then, I haven't really pursued acting in any way. I've had projects come to me just as they're related to poker, to be the spokesmodel for a jewelry company or do commercials for this casino type of thing, or have like a 2-episode arc playing myself as a poker celebrity on different things. But unless it's directly related to poker or a really big project that, I love, that I just think is hilarious, it's going to be poker for the next couple of years at least. So,
do you have a poker mentor? I mean, was there someone that taught you? I mean, I know like there's a ton of training sites. Like I have a lot of friends that, especially online, were trained by like Maven or Bodagari or just other various people. I mean, how did you learn the game? Was there someone that helped you, or were you self-taught? Books?
Well,
again, forgive me if any of this was asked before. I really do apologize for that.
No, that's okay.
Okay.
No, that's actually. I was in
when I tuned into the conversation, I heard boyfriend, main event, and I think you said pocket fives, and that's where I got into the conversation.
Yeah, well, basically, the background that I was telling him earlier, I came into through the celebrity charity tournament angle, and from there, I slowly transitioned into being an online player. And in playing the live circuit, I was able to meet a lot of really good, like top tier, top 10 players in the world as far as tournaments go. And I've worked with quite a few people. Most recently, I worked with a player online that is my boyfriend. His name's Ghetto Fabulous online, and also worked with like Mr. Smokey One. I've worked with Steve Gross, who's Tiboro. He was like an online player of the year. I worked with Dip Throng, who is like one of the best online players in the world. I've had a lot of people shape my game, and it's kind of funny because I've been trained by really, really tight players and really psychotic players, and it's been fun kind of merging all the different styles and fitting them into mine and just kind of really figuring out what my style was over the course of the last couple of years. And I'd say really around this World Series was when I felt like my game really came into its own in the sense of having my own style and being a really competent pre- and post-flop player in tournaments. So that was kind of how my game developed.
I know you said you're a No Limit Hold'em tournament specialist. Have you at all began delving into learning any of the other games, any of the mixed games, any of the limit games, or are you just fully concentrating on No Limit Hold'em right now?
I've dabbled in a couple of the mixed games. The only thing I've really, I'd say, put effort into learning and really getting good at is PLO, just because I think it's kind of where the future poker is going to be going. It's just the second most popular kind of poker right now, and I definitely think that the games are really, really good, especially at the lower stakes, just because people really don't know what they're doing and don't really put in much effort to learn. So I'd say those are probably the two games that you'll see me playing the most over the next few years.
Did you ever play 1-2 or the 2-5 at Aria, PLO?
Yeah, sure. That's fun. Yeah, I played my first PLO tournament this year at the World Series and actually bubbled. But it's fun. I like playing it live. It's really cool holding 4 cards instead of 2 is that sounds. It makes it a lot more interesting.
We had. It's funny you say that. We had Chris Moneymaker on yesterday, and it was Labor Day, obviously. And while we were interviewing him, he was burning the hot dogs and hamburgers for the whole family. But while he was doing that, he was telling us how much he loved PLO, and when he goes out and plays cash games, that's what he wants to play, and he's bored of No Limit Hold'em because he loves to see flops, he hates to fold, and with 4 cards, there's a lot more possibilities, and that was his perspective of why he loves PLO. You mentioned getting back to the World Series a little bit. How many events did you play in this year, roughly? If do you know offhand? Do you remember offhand the exact number?
I know I didn't play as many as I have in the past years because I kind of reevaluated my results of what had been happening, and I ended up playing like 10 to 12, whereas in the past I played probably like 15 to 20. I definitely noticed that I performed a lot better. I had a lot more runs this year, including in the main event. So I think that definitely quality instead of quantity for me personally, I see much because then I don't get burnt out.
Yeah. What was your deepest run this year, if you don't mind me asking?
I think I took like 90th in some, it was 1800, and I lost a huge flip for like the chip lead pot with ace queens all in pre-flop in that particular tournament. And then in the main event, I took like 300th. I got knocked out on day 5. So that was cool. I mean, cashing the main event in and of itself is pretty cool.
Oh, wow.
And having a deep run was really fun. I definitely want to improve on that next year. So.
If you don't mind me asking, and I don't know, I just, for some reason, I never asked these questions. I'm just kind of curious. What was your bust-out hand in the main event?
Pretty standard. I was at a table with actually 2 online pros that I know really well that were hyper-aggressive, and one was to my left, and I was pretty... Sorry?
No, I'm listening.
Oh, that's a ask question. Yeah, I was pretty handicapped with my stack. I was really short, and it folded in the small blind versus big blind, and I jammed ace-9 with, I think, like 15 bigs. I just had ace-jack. So it was kind of a cooler... there wasn't anything too crazy, pretty standard.
and I know this is, I'm sure since it's been enough time, you're over. How many days were you depressed over it? Because that's still an incredible feat. I know, this is something that surprised me up until I think it was like 2000, either 2009 or 2010. Johnny Chen had not cashed in the main event for 13 straight years. So I mean, it's no easy feat.
Wow.
People. There's still a lot of known pros, whether they're internet players or pros that have made their names, winning other World Series of Poker tournaments or WPTs that have either not ever cashed, after numerous tries, 4, 5, 6 times, or just min cashed. I mean, did it hurt? I mean, I know obviously it hurt, but how bad did it hurt? I mean, 5 days is a long time to play.
You know what? It really, I know it's going to sound really cliche. I was really sad when it actually happened, like in the exact moment, obviously walking out of the room, having the cameras follow you, and then waiting to cash out line with everybody else telling their bad beat stories is pretty brutal. But once I cashed out and left, I mean, it was almost like a sense of relief on some level, just because I had played every single day for, 2 months straight.
Was the stress starting to affect you as you went deeper and deeper, like the pressure? Actually, I should say stress.
I don't think so. I'm the type of person, I perform pretty well under stress. As a matter of fact, I think I probably perform better under stress. But definitely it's one of those things where I knew I had played to the best of my ability, and it was only my 3rd main event that I'd ever played in. So, I don't know. I was really happy with the outcome. Obviously, I would have preferred it to go longer, but it gave me a sense of kind of belonging, if that makes sense, the World Series. And feeling like next year, I definitely think that with a lot of hard work and a little more focus on my game, that I could definitely have a really, really deep run. So
I didn't watch 1 second so far this year of any of the coverage of the main event. Although yesterday I did talk to Norman Chad for an hour on the phone, so that's kind of the same thing. But did you get a lot of coverage this year?
I did. I was at a feature table, like I think 2 of the 5 days that I played, and one of the more interesting spots that occurred at the World Series this year was that the bubble only lasted for 1 hand, effectively, which was really weird because 666 places cashed, and it was on like Friday the 13th or something weird like that.
Wow.
And I knocked someone out on the stone bubble. I jammed aces and got called by queens, and I held. And that particular hand, because 4 different players got knocked in the bubble, and they ended up chopping the Bubble Boy prize money, got a lot of coverage. So that was when I was the most highly featured, I would say.
Again, I'm embarrassed. I don't even know what's been aired. Has all that been aired, or is there more coverage people could expect to see? I don't even know where they're at in the World Series in terms of airing.
I actually think that they followed me out when, like, that aired last Tuesday, but they're re-showing a lot of the stuff, like, every week. But I know that, I think it's tonight, actually. I think it actually starts at 5 o'clock Pacific in, like, 8 minutes.
I'm doing this thing for 6 more hours, 50 hours for the kids. It's for the kids, Christina. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How can you not? Even though the laptop's on fire, I can't even be mad. It's for the kids. You know what I'm saying?
That's great. No, I really admire you guys for doing that. That's brutal. Like, that's such a long time to be talking.
Well, you make it a little bit easier, Christina, because you have a wonderful personality, and it's been a pleasure talking with you. We really appreciate you spending some time with us tonight out of your busy schedule, and thank you so much for being on the show. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
And we're sorry that it's 40. Usually we're a million times better at this, even though you
we're not.
We're not really that good at it.
But when I next time I am at the RA, I will come over and say hello, and I'll just say I am the disillusioned man who interviewed you after his laptop caught on fire, and you'll know exactly who I am.
Fair enough. Sounds good.
Thank you so much.
Is there anything you want to promote? Anything you have going on? I don't know if you have any affiliation deals. Just anything that. Are you a Christina Lindley brand? Is there anything that Twitter? Just anything you want to let people know?
Sure. I tweet all of the stuff I have going on pretty frequently on my Twitter. So if you just follow that, you can definitely keep up with all my appearances and, tournaments that I'll be in and everything. And it's just at Lindley Lou, LINDLEYLOO.
And
So.
one last question before you go, please. And this is for the
Yeah.
kids. This is going to benefit the children, Johnny. You know where this is going. Where are we at, John? We're at 75 each, correct?
We're both at 50 each.
50 each?
We're at 50 each
Okay,
right
we're
now.
at 50 each. Okay. Christina, we are going to ask you. I'm going to ask you a question, and there's no right or wrong answer. Just an honest answer is really the only answer. And no matter what, there's going to be a donation. Johnny and I have had a running.
We've been
now
gambling on people's answers to a certain question.
for close to the whole show, and each time whoever wins or loses, we're keeping track of the wager, and money is going to be donated to the 22Q Foundation. Now the question is this: in your opinion, who is the biggest superstar in poker?
Wow. A big superstar overall in poker?
Yep.
Superstar, we're talking. Biggest superstar.
Wow, yeah, that's a tough question. I mean, two people come to mind immediately when you ask me that.
We cannot influence you. If you want to name the two and work it out yourself, you can.
Yeah, I'm debating in my head. Honestly, the two that come to mind are Phil Ivey and
I'm drawing dead.
and I don't.
That's
the biggest superstar. I'd probably have to say Phil Ivey. I think overall, online and live pros all know him, and the general public.
You know what?
I'd say Phil Ivey.
So Christina, a donation for more money now will be sent to the 22Q Foundation in the name of.
I lost that one. The way the bet works is he has Phil Ivey, I have Daniel Negreanu.
Okay.
And whoever they name, if they name Ivy, I have to pay another $50 to the charity.
Oh no.
If they name Negreanu, he has to pay another $50 to the charity.
Well, I would recommend, if I were you, interviewing more live pros than online ones, because I feel like most live pros are going to say Negreanu and most online pros are going to say Ivy.
I'm stuck.
For the next 6 hours.
I'm pretty stuck.
We had this stretch, and this is what kind of killed me, of Canadian guests, and then they were, they're in Canada, so they're all.
Yeah, 3/4 of our guests were Canadian, so.
Yeah, we had Greg FTB Mueller. We had a pitcher, Ryan Dempster, who is actually a part of this. His daughter, unfortunately, is afflicted with 22Q deletion, and it has the Ryan Dempster Foundation, and he is the starting pitcher for the Texas Rangers, and he was on earlier today, and he went with Negreanu. And funny enough, he's a poker player as well. But anyhow, thank you so much for being on. I will say hello the next time I'm at the Aria and run into you. And again, just all the best and good luck and continued success. You sound happy and just loving life, and that's great.
Thank you. Good luck to you guys with the rest of the podcast.
Thank you so much, Christina.
Thanks.
Okay, talk to you later.
Bye.